were trying. How we doing, Sam?
Almost there. I'm just getting Facebook to authenticate.
Come on, technology. Please. Hey, EJ. That was nice earlier. That was very well done. I was just talking about him yesterday in our PEG meeting. I had no idea.
Okay, Supervisor Sabatier, maybe just let the audience know that they haven't missed anything.
Okay, so everything is back on. I'm not seeing Granicus. And maybe it's just my computer.
Did I turn it off with my mouse over here?
You hit a decibel level that
Yes, yes.
we weren't ready for. That's the magic happening. Nice.
Yeah, it was definitely very well done.
Matthew, can you hear the chambers? Oh, no, he can't. Here we go. Now, Matthew, can you hear the chambers?
Yes, I can, Sam.
Okay,
Sorry, it took me
great.
a second to unmute.
Okay, it looks like we are restored. We're back on PEG, Facebook, and YouTube, and I have not gotten confirmation on Granicus.
Oh, all right, they can hear
Are
us,
we
but
live
they
on
can't see
Granicus?
us. No, we can hear.
So I'm going to suggest that that's enough on our agenda. It's either in the chambers or Zoom. If we don't have Granicus working, we'll go ahead and get the video up there once everything is done. We are still recording, so we'll have all the video to be able to post at a later time, but nobody has missed anything. We are still on item 6.5. We took a pause during the technical difficulties, and let's go ahead and get back to it. Any questions or comments, or did you, let's go ahead and go back to Michael. You said you wanted to talk to us real quick about the process.
Sure. So the process is that we're getting started with this. This is, as was mentioned, no cost for us to do the preliminary analysis. We're going to look for advanced energy opportunities. We're also going to see what that would mean financially and how that could start helping along some of the traditionals that couldn't work without it. If we find something, or if we don't find something, we're going to come back at the end of this preliminary review and give you a report. At that point, we would want to start moving into detailed design and an investment grade audit for the different elements. At that point, there does start to be an obligation. So when we move into phase 2, that's when we really start getting into the engineering costs and hard costs. For an advanced energy project, that could easily be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. At the end of that, when we enter into phase 2, we're going to tell you what we think that opportunity looks like, about what we think it'll cost, about what we think the economic benefit to the county is. And you have the choice to say, yes, we want to move into phase 2 or not. If we move into phase 2, at the end of that, there are really 3 different options, the way it can work out. Number 1 is, if Train has totally misjudged things during the preliminary and we move into it and we find out that we're just way off, there's no obligation for the county to move on. So if we think that a project is going to cost $20 million and it turns out that it costs $60 million because there's a tiger salamander habitat or something like that that needs to be mitigated. If there's a problem there where it doesn't work the way that we thought it would at the beginning of phase 2, that's on us, we eat the cost. If it turns out that things are pretty much like we thought and the project works, and then we move into the final phase, which is contracting, in that case, everything's great. The costs of our development get rolled into the final contract. The one time that there is a commitment is if we move into that future phase 2, and we set out what we think a successful project will look like, and during phase 2 we get there, and then the council decides to, or the Board of Supervisors decides to not move forward with the project for whatever reason, then there is a termination fee associated with phase 2 work, where if we bring you what we say we're going to and you back out, then you're going to charge us for the engineering that's there in phase 2. So there's no cost here, but there is a potential for a cost in that second phase if you choose to move forward with it, and then you effectively voluntarily back out of the project at that time.
Yeah, and I appreciate, if I could, I appreciate him bringing that up. That is to come. I want to make sure that's clear. We're not to that point. We come back and we have that go, no-go decision at the completion of the preliminary audit. So,
correct.
So thank you for that summary.
Yep.
And that process is tried and true throughout a lot of different counties and municipalities around California.
Right. Thank you very much for the clarification and the additional information. Any comments or questions? Supervisor Scott.
No question. Just want to thank Lars for bringing this forward. I know this is something that we have been talking about since I've been on the board over 4 years, not only looking at the economic benefits for the county, but making sure that we're doing the right thing for our environment. So I'm definitely in favor of moving forward and exciting to see what comes out of this.
So, Supervisor Simon.
I'm the same way. I'm glad that we're having the conversation today. You know, we have all spoken about this, but I know numerous times we look at it. And I hope when we're doing the audits, we're looking at, I know we said some of the term, I think, was the long-term innovation that's coming with this. So I know in the past we've talked about the potential opportunity of the water that we do move in the county through the pipes, you know, through the sewer. You know, is there an opportunity to generate, you know, electricity there? Looking at, you know, the solar opportunity with the battery backup storage, I think is very encouraging. Understand that, want to see some of those projects happen here, but also looking at the innovative opportunities that, like I said, we may not even know that are out there right now. I think long-term wise here in the state of California, they're looking to go by 2035 or 2040 to a lot of electric vehicles, and looking at those opportunities for fueling stations that will look different than they do right now, opportunities to make money down the road for producing solar that could charge electric vehicles and other things in our own vehicle fleets, and looking at all those opportunities as we move forward. I think it's very unique, but very happy to be having this conversation, both from the climate change opportunities, but really looking at how to innovate what we have here, our natural resources, which we were just talking. We are not enjoying the heat that is coming through right now, but there is plenty of sun and the battery technology coming along with it, where we can store it, reuse it, and the artificial intelligence to know when to do that is really coming along. So I'm excited about the opportunities, because we're always looking a way of creating economies, jobs, and this may be one of those opportunities that we really take advantage of. Being rural is sometimes a challenge for us, but I think this is really going to work in our favor if we do the right thing. So, Lars, thank you very much for bringing this. And I know, Michael, we had met, I think, 3 years ago in Sacramento with CAO, you know, and Lars was already, you know, having those conversations. So happy to be here today. So,
Yeah.
go ahead, Lars.
Just as a follow-up to that I think is important to note, I mentioned earlier public services, the facilities-centric focus on this. Not that there was one, but that's how it initiated, was what can we do for our buildings. Obviously, it expands beyond that. The use of energy expands far beyond that. That was demonstrated during the slide of the map and the bubbles. A lot of the bigger colored ones were not facilities, not your traditional facilities, buildings. They were other infrastructure, water, wastewater infrastructure. And so it's going to be important that a lot of other departments participate in this, or at least have work in parallel paths into that. And they have, a lot of them. Special districts particularly has been out in front with a lot of different methods, particularly solar, that they have implemented, because their pumps and motors are on a continual basis. They're not like a building that has a set time where it has that need. But I think the point is that in ensuring that we do include, collaborate with those other departments that are the heavier hitters. So I will reach out to them, but we just want to ensure that we have the board support from the board to include them with this.
Just one other thing, just to add on to that, Lars, absolutely. Not only all the other county departments and everything that's using the energy, as you're saying, but also too with our just communities. We're always resilient. We talk about that after the fires, but engaging the community and starting this here at the county level is really important, because over the next decade, that's going to be how we survive and who we really get our name out there, that we're not only resilient through disasters, but we're resilient for the community and the climate, and from the business aspect, from different community members and business owners. So I think it's unique, not only unique to Lake County, but I think we can be a leader in this industry. So I'm excited about the conversations we're going to have, because projects are like what we do. And I appreciate sitting on the board and all the paperwork we get, but it's great to have projects and to see those come to fruition. And we know that this is something that our community is interested in. We've all heard that. And, I'm excited to have the conversation.
So just full disclosure, I've met with Michael Day multiple times. He was a presenter over at RCRC. I think Supervisor Crandall met him before I did. And right away, I needed to ask a lot of questions. And I've learned quite a lot from Mr. Day. I have every belief that Train is the innovative solution that we are looking for, that they will find ways to help not just us as a county, but our communities as well. And that's what I'm hoping that we can look at, not just our facilities, but also what can we do to provide assistance to our communities, because we are at the whim of PG&E. In the late 90s or mid-90s, we already had rolling blackouts. They seemed to disappear, and we almost forgot about them until they just came back starting last year. We're back, and it's going to happen again and again and again until we figure out how to be a lot more self-sustainable. And I think that we have the capability to have some of those self-sustainability, maybe not being fully self-sustainable, but to increase our sustainability. And I'm hopeful that we can, that project that you've discussed with me, that you just brought up over in Hidden Valley, to me is the type of project that I would like to discuss further on how can we duplicate that kind of project throughout the county, where it creates fire suppression potential as well as energy. And I believe that you were talking about the transmission interchange. Mainly, I'm guessing that's the issue of creating things like peakers, where we can't necessarily connect directly to the grid to sell right away. But I think the idea of peakers, and I apologize for my phone buzzing, the idea of peakers, which is basically energy that is being held, whether it's in a battery or some other format, a big water tank, that you can turn on when that energy can be passed on to the consumer. That to me is what helps us with PSPS. That to me is what helps us during rolling blackouts, especially when we're dealing with it in the 100-degree weather that we've been enduring so far this past week. So I'm very excited that you're on board. I'm very excited to approve this today, because I really think that we are going to see some innovative stuff, and I think that we are going to be in a much better place than where we are right now. Supervisor Sam?
Just had one follow-up too, and we're looking at this because we're talking about solar and backup and everything, but I know there are programs out there too. I hope when we're doing the analysis, we're looking at the PG&E opportunities that are out there too. In multiple meetings that we've had, through PG&E and saying, you know, they used to have a program, and they brought it back now, from my understanding, is the BIP program, the ELRP program, where if you have your microgrid set up, you can get the meters set up through PG&E, and they'll pay you per kilowatt when you drop off on the high intensity hours and other things. So I think there's not only putting the program together, but other programs we need to be looking at to maximize some of the funding, you know, or financial benefits, where we could run our generators, our solar systems, battery backups, and there's actually money coming in per kilowatt saved during those high hours. So I know I'm throwing out some terms there, but I think PG&E is rolling some of those out. I'm hoping any business owners or anything should be looking into those opportunities too, because there are things, and we have a lot of opportunity from the county to make sure we're looking at those. So during that audit and other stuff, I hope we're looking at all those and looking at opportunities
Absolutely.
of programs we should be enrolling in, so we could utilize some of this stuff and start to actually get paid for using the systems we're going to be setting up. And it's not where we're selling it back to them. It's just, hey, we got the equipment to run during the high peak hours, so they'll reimburse you for some of that. And whether it's just on the bill or direct payments, I hope we're looking at all those as we're doing that, you know, just to subsidize. You know, I looked at there, I think it was the one sewer treatment plant was
Northwest,
almost
yeah.
$1 million for the Northwest plant. You know, we cut that in half. What a huge savings and opportunity to move to different budget items. So just want to mention that.
Just to follow up on that, Supervisor Simon, part of what you're doing in selecting us today is giving us standing to talk to groups like the Community Microgrid Enablement Program at PG&E. This is a really great program from PG&E. We're working with them really in depth at Hidden Valley Lake and for Tuolumne County and for other customers. And they're letting us get into some of the really inside data that we wouldn't normally have access to at PG&E to get to understanding if and when projects can work. They are really good, but before we can start talking to them, we need to be selected as it. And they work as a clearinghouse to help us understand everything that we can do to get access to in terms of grants, in terms of market participation, whether it's at CAISO or through PG&E or to another load-serving entity like a CCA. That's what a big part of our analysis. Part of it's, you know, the mechanical engineering of how everything would fit together. Part of it's the economic analysis. Part of it's financial. Those are all different elements, but PG&E has, I can say that the Community Microgrid Enablement Program and that staff has been the best set of people from a utility that I've ever worked with in the last 25 years that I've been doing this since I got out of the Navy. And they are really good, and they're really helping us not just see what's out there, but see what's out there and test it, stress test it fast. So, because again, the grants that are going to probably be pretty important to making some of these things work, the grants aren't going to wait for us, right? We got to catch that train. And that's where really the CMEP and PG&E helping us iterate through some things and figure it out quickly is what's going to be needed to put this county in position to get its fair share of those dollars.
And since we're at the agreement stage, a point of emphasis in the RFQ was leading the initiative for programs SGIP or others. So that was a huge factor in the selection process. And I'm saying that even though he was in the Navy and I was Air Force. So
Cooperation.
Any further, Supervisor Crandall?
Yeah, well, since you said that, the Army is going to join in. Well, you know, it's just good to see this come to fruition. We met with you in 2019, and I know it's something that's been kind of discussed previous to my predecessor discussed it with me about the project in Hidden Valley, the SGIP project, where you met with us and explained the duck bill, and now obviously that's changed in a way. And so just seeing that and finally coming to fruition at 3 years later, 2 years later. And Public Services, thank you for putting us in a position to, you know, be successful for this and move forward. Because, like you said, their activity is what got us the opportunity to work with you. So, good job.
All right, if there's no further comments, let's open it up for the public. Anyone in the boardroom have a comment on this item? Seeing none, if you're in the Zoom room, please press the icon at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand or dial *9 if you're calling via telephone. And seeing none, let's bring it back to the board and take action on B.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consideration of agreement for a preliminary energy audit with Train.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Crandall, a second by Supervisor Simon. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye?
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to your work. So we are at 11:55. We still have some timed items. We are going to postpone those until this afternoon. We have a hard line 1 o'clock for a closed session for item 8.1, I believe. Yes. And so I'd like to utilize the next 5 minutes to let's go ahead and maybe do our calendars, and then we'll take a lunch, reconvene at 1 p.m. to do our 8.1 closed session. And I would suggest that we reconvene our open session at 4 p.m. to make sure we have enough time to at least go through our interview process, our post-conversation after the interviews, and if we still have time, we will continue our closed session items because there are other items as well. And so let's go ahead and do calendars. We'll start with Supervisor Simon.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short and sweet here. During our hiatus of meetings, attended North Coast EMS. We had a meeting on that, our quarterly meeting. Also attended our insurance committee meeting also. We'll have some updates in the future about insurance and how we're moving forward. But I did just want to say that I know while our employees were inundated throughout, throughout the pandemic with emails about different things, if you have any questions about insurance opportunities, both telehealth, other things, please reach out to Human Resource, and I know they will give some information. So please just pay attention to those, insurance emails as they come from our Human Resources, because there may be opportunities that could benefit you, while you're using those. With that, have tomorrow, LTA was canceled for tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, have a CDD committee meeting on Wednesday, on Thursday. Yeah, flying right into it, we're already done here. So have a conflict on Thursday, have both the mental health board meeting and have the disaster council meeting. So I'm going to be attending the disaster council meeting on Thursday at 3. So we'll be having that, our quarterly meeting. And then don't have anything on the 16th, 17th, 18th. We'll be doing some short traveling in California here. And then back on Monday, we have the Risk Reduction Authority, which I'm excited to say this will be our first meeting that we have NCO in as our consultant and coordinator. So, the next couple meetings, we're going to be moving forward. I want to thank the CAO. I want to thank NCO for stepping up, but I really want to thank Carol and her office and all the participants that have helped carry the RRA to get to this point. But we're excited about the opportunities down the road. We have already looked at some grant opportunities to expand the capacity, and it's taken a few years, 3 years exact, but I think we're taking the right steps, and it's going to be exciting moving forward. And then Tuesday back here for the meeting. And there may be other meetings that pop up, but they're not on there now.
And there always will be. Thank you very much. Let's go on to Supervisor Crandall.
So I'll go back to a couple meetings that took place. First and foremost, our East Region Town Hall on the 7th took place. We had a really big turnout. I'd say at least 25 to 30 people there, where Melinda Rivera from PG&E gave a presentation about the PSPS situation and discussion. Also, Lieutenant Pollock was there to discuss some of the situations with the deputies and the sheriff activity and whatnot. And so that was it was very good to see in person people attending, and we had at least 4 people on a Zoom. Also attended the CSA where Andrew Williams from Code Enforcement was present to discuss some things, and there's a lot of frustration out there with the illegal grows and whatnot, and I know that's a common area of discussion. Middle Creek Restoration took place Monday, where we are working to line up some of the some of our, tasks to ensure that when we ask or in hopes of getting an extension, we are going to try and line up all of the other agencies like PG&E and Caltrans and whatnot to have those ready, and that way we don't miss any steps when it comes to moving forward with that project, the Middle Creek Restoration. And so it was a very productive meeting, and we're hoping to meet with a couple of agencies like PG&E and another tribe that's wanting to talk with us about some of the acquisition or even zoning situation. I also met with and had discussion with some folks from the Nice Neighborhood Watch who discussed some things about flock safety and cameras in the district, and looking at adding to the repertoire that the Sheriff's Department has. Let's see, I have today agenda review, and then tomorrow I have an appointment I have to be at for the VA, but I will be available by phone. I'm checking in with, I guess, our meeting with the director Thursday with a director from Special Districts. Cal Water is having I think it is a workshop, a rate workshop, that I'll be present with them discussing that, as there's they're a group that does our Lucerne water, so it's they're very active, and we're appreciating that. They'll also be at the last meeting on Friday to give out some other insights and some presentations on what to do with the situation in water and whatnot. And Monday I have a meeting with the CAO back here Tuesday for the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Scott?
For my reports, yesterday there was a media release, public notice sent out for the Scotts Valley Water Conservation District. We're looking for 3 new directors. So if you live in the Scotts Valley area and interested in filling out a form for candidacy, you can go up to the Register of Voters and find out which district you would fall under. It's all under your address in the Scotts Valley. Or you can give me a call at 849-4414, and we will also be talking more about this at the Scotts Valley Community Meeting that will be held on July 26th. So again, give me a call, 849-4414, and we can help you get the paperwork or find information on how to go about that. My calendar is really light this next week. It looks like I have a meeting tomorrow at 8:15 with Carol. And then it's pretty much open from there, and then just Monday preparing for Tuesday's meeting.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Pyska?
So last week, better? Okay. We had quite a few meetings last week. We had the Ag Committee met. We had a special guest, so Supervisor Spatier, to discuss his request for that committee. Now we're going into the heavy season for our Ag Committee, so our next meeting won't be until November. One of the things that we talked about was how we could get their input on improving our application process. As our CDD is in a transition, I'm going to work to get them the process as it stands now, so that we can have them review it and get back to us throughout the fall. But this is really getting into their busy season, and we really want to just let them do their thing right now. I went out on the lake with Water Resources Department last week, the coolest day of the week. I don't know if it reached 100, but it was great. I got to participate in the sampling of both water and sediment, so it's really a great experience for me. We have such an amazing team in place to do that work. The Fire Safe Council met. As the Fire Safe Council stands right now, it is an ad hoc committee of the Board of Supervisors, so the work that we're doing right now is trying to get it to develop into a 501(c) so it can stand on its own, accept funding, really pioneer projects. The State Fire Safe Council has a grant available, $175,000 for 30 counties in the state, giving preference to counties that have endured fires, have vulnerable populations. We feel really confident that we're going to get that grant. We have, the Risk Reduction Authority has staff now with NCO and Tammy Alexey, who attended the webinar for the grant. And this is just days before the contract was signed. She was already doing it. So each county can apply one time. NCO can apply on behalf of our county. So we are this person that we have contracted with has already potentially made us $175,000 to develop and staff our Fire Safe Council, which is phenomenal news. So we're really excited. Supervisor Simon mentioned that we have opportunities, we have momentum. Things are just really cooking right now. So it's really exciting. The Fire Safe Council has a subcommittee working on how to really develop that 501(c) to stand on their own and function in the way that they want themselves to, and we need them to. So it's great. We had the roadmap task force, but I'll let Supervisor Sabatier report on that. I had to leave a couple of minutes early. And I went to the Buckingham Homeowners Association annual meeting Saturday morning and met with those constituents. It shared a lot about what we've been doing here. It was just a really great meeting. Their water company is doing some really innovative work to have a platform float to draw water when their intake pipes will be impacted due to the low lake levels. So they're doing a lot of work, and they were really excited to hear everything that we're doing here. So tomorrow morning, there's a medical advisory committee. I'm meeting with MIT Matters. This is a conversation about housing recovery, wildfire prevention, and land use planning in Lake County from 2015 to the present. So that's an interview that I've got at 1 o'clock. We're going to be having our community development committee meeting later in the afternoon. There's a CARES ARPA ad hoc committee meeting on Thursday, followed by Disaster Council. The Cabaret Council will be meeting that evening for the first time in person, but outdoors. This is a big deal. It's a 5-year anniversary, so it'll be a little bit celebratory in nature. Friday, I will be going out to Canocti to visit with the manager, Russ Hamill. Saturday is the 10th anniversary of the Elay stage celebration. If anybody's interested in going to that, it's going to be a really fun day. I think it starts at 10 and goes till 3. I will not be there because I'm picking my children up from camp. And then my Monday meeting with our CAO, and that's it for me.
Thank you very much. I will be brief so we can get to our lunch break. At one point in time, not sure if it'll be later today or tomorrow, we will be doing agenda review for next week's meeting. Be meeting with our CAO later today as well about some other discussions that I wish to have. LTA, as it was discussed, has been canceled tomorrow, but that is being replaced with an EMS discussion that we will have on Thursday. Let's see, I'm going to try to join the Blue Zone meeting. I haven't been able to join that lately, as it always conflicts with some of my other meetings. I'll be meeting with special districts later on that day as well with Supervisor Crandall, I believe. Is that correct?
Oh, that Thursday? Yes.
Yeah. And then we will be looking at the American Rescue Plan Ad Hoc Committee to discuss where those funds will be going. And I know earlier somebody said we were getting $12 million. We are in total, but it's split in half. So we get the first part is 6 point something, and next year we'll get another 6 points on. I think it's 12.3 million or something like that total. I forget what the specific amount. Later on, I have an update from CSAC with COVID-19 and how it's going throughout the state. And then Clear Lake City Council meeting, I'll be attending that, and then preparing for our meeting on Monday and meeting with our CAO so that we can be all ready for our Tuesday meeting. Did have the roadmap task force. Our main topic of discussion was to look at which community to focus our efforts on. Again, the Roadmap Task Force is about cleaning up a community and looking at permanent changes. So that includes discussions with law enforcement, discussion with code enforcement, animal control, and we will be bringing in our district attorney in our next upcoming meetings, depending on their schedule, as that is absolutely a part of keeping people accountable for the issues that we're trying to clean up as well. We are looking at Clear Lake Oaks, though I will say that's not official quite yet, because Clear Lake Oaks, especially if we look at it as a zip code, is a much larger area than just Clear Lake Oaks, so we haven't outlined the specific area that we will be calling the community focus for this Roadmap Task Force, but we'll come back with more information as we keep going. And I'll stop there. It is 12:10. We will go ahead and take a 15-minute lunch and come back at 1 p.m. I don't believe I got it.
5-0.
50. No, 15 would be a break and not a lunch break. But thank you for asking for clarification on that. I didn't get a response in the Zoom room, but I'm guessing we will all be in our offices to do Zoom interviews with PHO for our closed session. And now I will just read all of the closed session agenda, just in case that we are able to do all of that. And we will reconvene the public session at 4 p.m. So please be back on to Zoom or in the chamber if you wish to continue to hear our discussions. 8.1, public employee appointment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B. A, interviews for public health officer. B, appointment of public health officer. 8.2, public employee evaluation. Title, interim community development director. 8.3, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Fleisch versus County of Lake et al. 8.4, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, City of Clear Lake versus County of Lake et al. And with that, we will go ahead and go into our lunch session and reconvene our public session at 4 p.m. We will be in closed session at 1.
Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure everyone did get the Zoom invite for the 1 p.m. If anyone didn't get it, please let me know. Thank you.
We will. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to head home for the rest of